Hey guys, it's LeBurn98 here, and this is Medal of Honor 2010 edition. Uh, First, a brief history of my involvement with the Medal of Honor series. My first game in the Medal of Honor series was Allied Assault. Yes, Medal of Honor was originally on the PlayStation, I believe, and it was a game that was uh, had Steven Spielberg involved in some way or shape or form. Uh, it was really going towards that authentic aspect of war, although that's what they say. Of course, playing it now, you kind of realize it's probably anything but realistic. But at the time, it was pretty cool to see something like that. Because you got to realize, when Medal of Honor came out, I don't believe there was anything else that was like that at the time until games like Call of Duty and Brothers in Arms and so on came out, which flooded the market with World War II games. Uh, so Allied Assault was an amazing game. Really enjoyed it. I specifically liked the multiplayer aspect of that game. It was one of the first online games that I played on the PC, so it has a lot of merit that way for me. A lot of memories. So when I found out that Medal of Honor was being remade and being brought into the modern uh, era, uh, the modern war and stuff, I was intrigued. Uh, Now, why didn't I buy this on release day? And it's to be honest with you, I don't have a concrete answer for that. Uh, First of all, why didn't I buy it? Well, I played the beta when it first came out, and while let's talk about the positive aspects. I guess I should go that way. The graphics are good, if not amazing in some areas, especially in the multiplayer. I find it's pretty consistent. In the single player, not so much. Again, but for the most part, it represents what it wants to. It's not bad overall. Uh, Now the sound, absolutely phenomenal. Again, it's using the Dice engine, at least for the multiplayer, and it has that same sound system that brought us deep bass in games like Bad Company and Bad Company 2, and it's going to be in Battlefield 3. So both of those are good. Uh, what I did like about the single player, now granted I didn't play this on the PC, this was on the 360, I did this one. The single player, I didn't actually mind it, to be honest with you. I thought, uh, they tried to go for a more authentic role with that authentic aspect of it, and it was actually not too bad. One thing it was, and it's obviously was critically panned for this, was it was incredibly short. I think I beat it within 4 hours. Could have even been less for all I know. But it was an enjoyable experience. Definitely a good rent. Now, onto the multiplayer. Now, I had high expectations for the multiplayer because it was being developed by DICE, the makers of arguably one of my favorite games of all time, Battlefield 1942, and most recently, Bad Company 2. I still play that game today. Both actually, both 1942 and some of the more recent ones like 2142 and Bad Company 2. So I do like DICE games. Now, I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. DICE is not a great shooter developer. Now, let me explain that. What I mean by not a great shooter developer, I mean specifically shooting. Going from point A to point B, shooting people. What they do good at is the all-in-one kind of thing, like the Battlefield series is known for. Uh, when you really look at the Battlefield series, especially when it first came out, it didn't really do any particular aspect well. Like it was adequate. Let's put it that way. And the vehicles, they were easy to maneuver, but it wasn't amazing. Shooting, again, hit detection wasn't all that great, but it was serviceable. And but what made it fun was, again, the whole aspect of, hey, there's 64 players in on this map. I can jump in this jeep with some buddies and drive down the beach, and then take a U-boat and go over to that island and then snipe some dudes, and then hop on a plane and crash land in somebody. I mean, it was all of that made that game good, great actually. Again, the whole encompassing aspect of it. But again, DICE never really proved to me that they can make a good, strictly a shooter game. And so that was one aspect. While I was intrigued that DICE was making it, I was kind of leery about that. And that's basically what the beta proved to me, was that it was a good game. It handled all right, but the key aspects of it, which of a shooter, which is hit detection and the controls, I found the controls a bit clunky. And it's one thing, if you've been playing DICE games for a while, their controls are clunky. Again, dating back to 1942, then Battlefield 2, and so on. Serviceable, yes, but clunky nevertheless. Although they have improved it with the latest iterations of the Bad Company series, which I am glad to see. But it's still not there yet. And again, this uses the DICE Frostbite engine. And so maybe I'm placing the blame in the wrong area, and maybe it's not the developers, although they did do the engine. It could actually be just the actual engine itself that's causing these problems. But again, hit detection and just the overall clunkiness of the animations. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Battlefield 3 will work out with that. But again, with the Battlefield series, you're willing to ignore some of the clunkiness in favor of the overall scope of the game. And that's one thing that Medal of Honor, at least with its online aspect, didn't really have. And so DICE's shortcomings with shooting games were definitely apparent in the online game. So again, when I played the beta, that's one thing I noticed, and what really teed me off the most when playing online is it wasn't consistent. The hit detection was not consistent at all. I felt like while I was aiming at the guy, I was going down before he was. And one thing that really irritated me the most in the beta, and it still happens to this day, is people who are hip firing seem to get the kills more often than someone who's actually taken the time to aim, and that is just not right in a game like this. So what ends up happening, you end up going around hip firing like everybody else is. And it's one of the things that actually kind of annoyed me with Killzone 2. Killzone 3 actually improved that a little bit with the faster animation, the faster controls. Was they encouraged hip firing over actually precision aiming. So that was the main drawback. You can have a game look absolutely amazing. It can sound absolutely phenomenal. But if the controls are just not there to your liking, you're not going to like the game. Because at the end of the day, a game is about the gameplay. And that was one thing that I found that Medal of Honor failed, for me personally, was the gameplay, the actual controls. Now why did I buy it now? Well, let's face it, it was $10. It could have been more than that, could have been less, but I'm pretty sure it was $10. It was definitely cheap, and it's fun. It's a fun game to play a few matches, get annoyed with it, and then back out, and then come back to it again in another week or so. Go in, get annoyed, back out. So it definitely, for $10, it's definitely worth it. The single player, by the way, I never played it on the PC. Never even installed it. But for someone who's never played Medal of Honor, I would recommend playing the single player campaign. It is a good single player campaign, although it is definitely short. But again, for $10, it's most certainly worth it. And again, online, uh, give it a try, see what you think about it, and go from there. Of course, uh, apparently I'm not the only one that thinks these things about the multiplayer, because it's not really all that popular on the PC. And to be honest with you, I haven't tried it on the 360 online, and I haven't tried it on the PlayStation 3. Although I did consider buying at one point when it was cheap. But the player base on the PC is not that great. Uh, for the the team deathmatch base mode, I think it was like, I don't know. I think it was like 100 people, 200 people at one point. And now this is during the night, which is when I tend to play a lot of my online games. So of course it could be completely different during the day. But I think at most there was 2,000 people online, and this was around. Well, after obviously I got it after the Steam sale, so I would have expected more than just 2,000 people on. Now again, you can definitely get a game going, but obviously it's not the most popular game at the moment. And now you could say, well, that's because the Call of Duty noobs, they're too busy playing Call of Newbie, but Battlefield Bad Company 2, which is deemed more of a hardcore uh, experience compared to Call of Duty, it has quite a few people. I think it's 30,000, but I'm not too sure about that. But it definitely has a more active player base on the PC. So I don't think that's really the excuse. But again, overall, was it worth $10? Yes, it is. Decent single player, definitely a great single player when you compare it to dollars. Uh, but the online fun, but not something I would spend a lot of time playing. Anyway, until next time, this is LeBurn98. Sorry, LeBurn98, signing off. There is my score, and I'm out. See ya.